Hello everyone, I'm American Sports 365. Here with me once again is my colleague Alex. So, Arsenal played two more games. One game away against PSV in the last game of their group stage, and then at home against Brighton in the Premier League. Arsenal drew against PSV 1-1 with a much changed side, which I think is a decent result given the fact that PSV away is not an easy fixture, and obviously Arsenal is certainly not playing its best team. Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0 and is now back at the top of the Premier League. Brighton's been kind of a tough matchup for Arsenal in recent years. They've definitely beaten us a few times, so good to see Arsenal win that game. So, before you go any deeper, what are your thoughts on these two results?
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, the PSV draw is a decent result, and of course, beating Brighton 2-0 is a good result because they're a good side.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to see some Arsenal's second team players get a lot of minutes against PSV, and I think a lot of them performed well, especially Kivior and Reece Nelson. I think both had really good games. Yeah, obviously the win against Brighton is crucial, and especially given the other results with both Manchester City and Liverpool dropping points. So it's definitely a game that Arsenal needed to win. Now, in terms of the defense, I think it was pretty good against PSV. I think it could have been a little bit better. They got 6 shots on target. They only scored once, and Ramsdale had 4 saves, so I think it was pretty good in that game. And then against Brighton, I think the defense was excellent. Brighton only got 1 shot on target. Obviously, didn't score at all. And because of that, Ray had a much quieter game. I think he still did what he needed to do. His distribution was good, so I think he had a good game. But yeah, Arsenal defended incredibly well against Brighton, really shut them down. So your thoughts on Arsenal's defense in these two games?
Yeah, against PSV, it was decent, considering they're a good side, and we only allowed them to score 1 goal. And against Brighton, of course, keeping a clean sheet against a good side, this is a good defensive performance.
Yeah, it was the first time in 32 games in the Premier League that Brighton haven't scored. So yeah, it's definitely difficult to keep a clean sheet against them. So yeah, it's definitely very good defensive performance. I think Gabriel and Saliba doing really well, and Arsenal's defense really forming a fantastic partnership, and you really need to keep both of them fed, even though I think Arsenal do have some better depth in defense than they had in previous seasons. Now, in terms of the midfield, I think played well overall in both games. Arsenal dominated possession against PSV with 58%, and Jorginho, Onelli, and Havertz all had pretty good games there. Against Brighton, the possession stats were pretty even, but I think Arsenal controlled the game overall. Declan Rice played incredibly well and was certainly named man of the match. The 100% crosses completed, 100% long ball accuracy, 91% passing accuracy, and 3 interceptions. Havertz also had a good game and scored again. Scored an important goal to help Arsenal seal all 3 points against Brighton, so it's good to see him play well. And I think Odegaard played quite well despite not registering a goal or an assist against Brighton. So I think 2 strong performances from the midfield. So what are your thoughts on Arsenal's midfield in these 2 games?
Yeah, like you said, 2 good performances, solid against PSV and quite good against Brighton, especially Declan Rice, of course. Is brilliant, as he's been in almost every match he's played in for Arsenal this season. and that was, of course, a big factor in us beating Brighton.
Yeah, I agree, and definitely not easy to win the midfield battle against Brighton. They have sold some of their better midfielders in recent years, but yeah, Declan Rice was fantastic. Obviously, good to see Havertz score again. I think he's really starting to find some form at Arsenal. It's not just his goal scoring, of course, but I think his overall play looks to be better and he looks more confident. So that's definitely good to see. And I think Odegaard played really, really well. Definitely could have had a goal himself in this game. But yeah, I think the midfield performance was strong around both games. Now, in terms of the attack, I think it was just kind of all right against PSV. 3 shots on target, 1 goal. So not the best. And Nketiah scored Arsenal's goal, and Reece Nelson was really the star of Arsenal's attack in that game against PSV. He provided the assist for Nketiah's goal. I think Arsenal was definitely better offensively against Brighton, with 2 goals and 9 shots on target. So certainly we're getting shots on target. Only scored twice. I think a lot of that was due to Brighton's goalkeeper Verbruggen having a very, very good game with 6 saves and some last-ditch defending that was really good from Brighton as well. But I think Arsenal definitely could have scored a lot more against Brighton. And Nketiah also had an assist for Havertz goal against Brighton, so played a role in both games. So I think Dak was decent against PSV, but good overall against Brighton. I think in another game, with not such a good goalkeeper, I think Arsenal definitely would have scored a lot more than 2 goals. So what are your thoughts on Arsenal's attack in these 2 games?
Yeah, against PSV, it was okay. I mean, only scoring 1 goal isn't awesome, but against Brighton, I felt it was a little disappointing, to be honest with you. We had a lot of chances. Goalkeeper made some good saves, but we were also quite wasteful. I mean, I don't know how many shots we had off target, quite a few. We should have beaten Brighton probably 4-0, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think against PSV, it wasn't that surprising to see the attack not be quite as fluid with, so many different players coming in. But definitely could have been more clinical against Brighton. I think Arsenal definitely could have been more clinical in that game. I think Jesus could have, and obviously, Jesus scored in that game, but I think he had some other chances. I think Havertz could have had another goal. I think Odegaard definitely could have scored as well. So it definitely needed to be a bit more clinical, but scored enough against Brighton, at least to get all 3 points.
Yep.
Now, as far as the manager ratings go, I gave Arteta 7.5 out of 10 for PSV. I think it's a pretty good result, especially given all the changes to the lineup. And obviously we're able to rest players as well. And Reece Nelson did well in his starting role in that game against PSV, and then said 8.5 out of 10 for Brighton. I think Arsenal defended incredibly well. I think the midfield played well overall. The only downside really was the lack of clinical edge in front of goal. And obviously going with Havertz in the starting lineup worked out well, and subbing on Nketiah helped Arsenal win that game as he got the assist for Havertz goal, which sealed all 3 points. So I think good performances overall from Arteta in both games, I would say. So what are your thoughts on those manager ratings?
Yeah, I think I agree with the 8.5 against Brighton. Arteta did very well, his tactics and substitutions and everything. I would give him a slightly higher rating, maybe an 8 against PSV. Keeping in mind that I think he deserves praise for giving, some of the younger players more minutes, some chances to develop. But of course, that led to Arsenal not fielding their strongest lineup, which is a big reason that it ended in a draw. But it's also a positive that young players got some time to develop. So I'll give them an 8 for the PSV match, and I agree with 8.5 for the Brighton match.
Yeah, Arsenal actually had a late goal disallowed against PSV, which is unfortunate. So definitely came close to winning that game too. But yeah, I think good managerians role for Arteta in both games.
Yep.
Now, before we wrap up, we have to mention Arsenal's round of 16 matchup in the Champions League. Draw was earlier today. Arsenal going to play FC Porto, and the first leg is in Portugal, and then the second leg is at the Emirates. I think it's definitely a tie that Arsenal could win. Still want to underestimate Porto, and I think they have a lot more Champions League experience than Arsenal. But I think as long as Arsenal can at least avoid defeat in Portugal, I think it'd be really hard for Porto to get anything at the Emirates. So yeah, I think it's definitely a winnable tie. So what are your thoughts on that Champions League tie?
Yeah, I think it's not the easiest tie we could have gotten. We didn't luck out and get Copenhagen, but definitely could have gotten a much more difficult opponent. No disrespect to Porto, so we should be beating Porto over 2 legs and advancing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely a matchup that Arsenal should win, especially because I think Arsenal have made some more signings by then, and obviously probably have several players come back from injury, so we'll be able to field an even stronger team. But yeah, I think Arsenal should win that. So there you have it. Draw to end Arsenal's group stage. Arsenal's Champions League campaigns. They advanced to the round of 16 in against FC Porto, and win against Brighton to return Arsenal to the top of the Premier League table. Obviously, it's close right now, but Arsenal already 5 points ahead of Manchester City right now, and Arsenal have to travel to Anfield and play Liverpool. Obviously, that's going to be a difficult game, especially with some players missing, but hopefully Arsenal can at least avoid defeat and if not actually win and really strengthen their title challenge.
Yep.